Welcome back to Total Focus Podcast. I'm your host, Paul. Our sponsor of the week is Mid-Atlantic Video and Photography Production. No matter if you need wedding photography, pageant headshots, or if you have a special event, they are the photographers to get the job done. And if you need a videographer for a wedding, a commercial, or a corporate event, they are the videographers to get the job done. So I hope you reach out to Mid-Atlantic Video and Photography Productions to hire and videography and photography your next event. Our special guest this week is Jennifer Diaz. She is a former Miss Earth Florida USA. She's also a agent / pageant coach, and I am so excited for you to hear this wonderful interview with Jennifer. Jennifer is a really passionate person. She has gone through a lot of adversities, coming to America, learning English language, and being bilingual, being able to really go through adversities. And Jennifer's going to tell you your story, so I hope you stay tuned and really enjoy this episode. And welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Well, it's always great to have lovely new friends. I haven't had the opportunity to interview a lot of people from Florida, so it's always great to have more Florida alumni on the show. And I don't think I have interviewed anyone that is living in Miami Pacifical. So, and I know how highly competitive the modeling and pageantry industry is in Miami. So it must be really fun area to live in.
It is. It is. There's a lot of cultures. So it's always fun. It's fun to meet people.
So how did you get into doing modeling? Were you not modeling and pageantry when you were very young, or were you more into sports and arts, or what was the starting point?
Well, my mom always enjoyed the spotlight. I'm an only child. So therefore, I think she kind of lives through me a little bit. And she used to be a pageant girl. So I started when I was very young, but then I stopped. And then I did not start again until I was 17. So I started a bit late, more than a lot of the girls that are in the pageant industry and
Now,
modeling.
now, when you say you started young, how young is that?
I was about five.
Okay, so
Five
you
when,
did
yeah,
those small the little
the
cute
kitty
ones. Yeah,
pageants.
yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, did mom just compete, or did she also hold a title?
She competed in one pageant. She competed, so I'm originally from Honduras, and she competed for Miss Honduras.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So she just did that pageant, but she stayed with that seed in her, that the little itch to keep competing, and she just signed me up for one,
Well,
unknowingly to me.
I think anyone that is really competitive has that itch in their own lane, so that's only natural. So,
Yeah.
do you find that you've really have um, learned a lot of positive attributes from your mom, like stuff that she's learned, or do you think there are just some things that you naturally have learned by yourself?
Well, I never had a coach, and in my country, there's not a lot of opportunity to learn as much as here in the US. Here, they take it a lot more serious, and I think there's more resources for young girls to, go after their dreams, whether it be in modeling or in pageantry or anything to do with the spotlight. So I learned a lot here, more watching other girls compete than anything else. I never really had a coach, and now I'm a coach. So
Does that help you with your own career to see what other people are doing, um, good and bad, and then it allows you to adapt really quickly and then implement that into your strategy to win?
yes, definitely. And like I said, this being so big here in Miami and competing, the more I compete, the more I learn, from other girls and what they do, and also the girls that I compete against. They teach me a lot of valuable things, first runner ups, and even when I've lost, I've even learned. So I think it's very important that we watch other girls and not measure ourselves against them per se, but just take tips and learn and observe is really important. It really helps you grow.
So Jennifer, you made a big point that you said you took a gap there. So is that between you moving from your home country to America, or you were just focused on school or other things?
I was just focused on other things. I even developed this miscongeniality mindset, like the movie, where I thought that it was very shallow for a while. I didn't think of it as anything substantial that would leave anything behind for me as a person. And then when I entered my first pageant, I realized that that wasn't the case. I really grew during the year that I held my first crown, more in the community service aspect and just going to events. It really left a lot for me.
So are you also leading me on to say that you were not very feminine? Were you more like a tomboy then, or were you feminine but you just had bad ideas towards the pageant industry specifically?
Well, it was bad ideas towards the pageant industry and modeling in general. And also, I think lack of self confidence. Coming to this country when you don't know the language. And I came when I was about 6 or 7. So I was not so little where I could pick up the language right away. I had to communicate with other kids, and it was very difficult for me. So I started losing my self confidence. And so I never thought that I could be the girls that I would watch on TV.
Are you still very bilingual? Are you able to fully communicate? Is it Spanish that you'd speak in,
Yes.
or okay? So are you very still fluent in Spanish, or because your English sounds impeccable? So I mean, I applaud you. I mean, you definitely put your effort and time into learning English. So
I'm fluent. However, there's some words that I do not know how to translate that I learned in English but did not learn in Spanish.
got
So
you.
I'm Spanglish. Here in Miami, everybody understands
Right.
Spanglish.
Is that more like the four-letter words, or the four-letter words are easy to comprehend?
No, they're easy. They're
Okay.
easy to comprehend.
Okay.
No, no, everything.
so
No. Mhm.
so what if you had that negative mindset going in, what was there what do you attribute to actually doing that pageant and then competing? Did you have a friend that you happened to meet in, or did your mom actually encourage you to do it again? Like, because usually if someone has, especially, no disrespect, but as a guy, when a woman has her mind made up, that usually doesn't change. So you
It's
giggle,
true. It's
but
true.
um so it's very hard to change that mindset. So did you have some kind of a personal aha moment?
Well, it's always, like I said, a learning experience. Even once I was a seasoned competitor, I was still learning. I was still learning things about myself and things about the industry. But my mom really pushed me to it. She said, try it out. Never say never. And if you really don't enjoy it, then I will never force you to do anything. It was just a project for her. It was just more for her to live out her dream. She had a daughter, an only child. So she said, hey,
Mhm.
let's just do it.
And what was that first pageantry that what was the first pageant that got you back into it?
So it was a local pageant, the very first one that I did at 17, and it was Miss Honduras USA. So it was for the young ladies that are Honduran American and they lived here in the U.S. And it would allow them to compete here and win a pageant here, but also get to travel to Honduras to do community service. So I entered that. I competed against 18 girls, and I did not know what I was doing. I swear to you, I had no idea how to walk, no idea how to do my makeup. I was lost. and I don't know how I won. I don't know what they saw in me, but I won. And it wasn't the pageant itself, but the whole year holding the title that really opened my eyes to more.
Do you find that you have much more connection now with your home country that you are able to hold that title and represent it so well?
Yeah, I do think so. I do think so. And also, just a lot of the community work was with people from my home country and Hispanic people. Um, for instance, we would do events for Thanksgiving, feeding families that did not have the finances to hold their own Thanksgiving dinners. And just getting to know the community was very important and very helpful for me.
Well, I could see how beneficial that is. It also, I assume, it really allowed you to reconnect with a country that um, you hadn't been a part of for so many years.
Yes. Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Do you
Definitely.
find yourself that you're more American now, do you do you still find you feel that you're 50-50?
That is a very interesting question because sometimes I don't even know the answer to that. I think that I'm very Americanized. Um, and it would be very hard for me to live in Honduras. It would be very hard for me to adapt because definitely lifestyle here is different. And culturally it's different also, the people here, how they behave. However, in my household we make it a point to keep the roots alive. We eat Honduran food. Even the slang, my slang is different in Spanish.
Well, I mean, it's really important that you never really lose grips of where your culture is from. So, I mean, I'm not really sure on my evolution tree, but I believe we're sixth or seventh generation. So
Okay.
we always have Italian food and have some English food as well. So I mean that's a I think that's just a normal thing that happens, and I would assume that you would also do that for your family when you have one. So
Yeah, definitely. It's nice to keep your culture alive. If we didn't do that, then I think that we wouldn't be the melting pot that we are now.
right, exactly. So
Yeah.
do you find? I mean, you fully admit that you think that it was just a fluke, but like looking back on it, do you think that they just happened to see how genuine you are and that they were looking for someone who was real and not someone who was like playing to the judges, and that's why you won that first pageant? Or are you just really good at pageants?
No, I think that they saw potential more than anything. Maybe they, because sometimes it happens. You see something raw. Maybe, I mean, you do photography, and I'm sure that sometimes you have seasoned models that know exactly their cues, and then sometimes you find it endearing when you have a girl that doesn't know what she's doing, but she has a dream. So
I
maybe that's what they saw.
no, I mean there you're absolutely right. You, as a photographer, you know the person. She may not be fully confident. She may not be a well trained model, but she could rock the world if she gave it her 100%. That's for sure.
Yes.
And I mean, I think that you can see that in most athletes. You know in baseball if that person's got a beautiful swing, you can just see it. It's like, it's as a guy, for you can see a gorgeous woman from a mile away. I mean, there are what they say, there are truths. There are things that will be truth through the end of time. So,
Yes. Yeah.
do you
Uh,
is it do you think that one of the things that you're really good is just communicating who you are to that judge panel? Because every time I ask my guests, they always talk about the interview, and I always think that the interview is so important. So, do you think that you just have a really great way of describing yourself and really killing that interview?
I love interview. Now that I coach and I have clients in pageantry and modeling, I tell them take every chance you get to speak up and to portray who you are and who you want to be, how you want to be perceived, because that is when people truly fall in love with you. I've judged pageants before, and that's what I look for. You know, when a girl comes into the room and I fall in love with her personality, I'm already looking for her on stage because I want to see what else is there. And I think that you can teach a girl how to walk, you can teach her how to do her makeup, you can put a gorgeous gown on her, but if her personality isn't there, that's very hard to teach. That just comes from the person, and it's something that is polished along the way. I love interview.
What are some really important things that you've learned that it comes to the interview that people should just pay attention? Is there any some small tips that are really
Oh,
good to focus on, like just some helpful, or maybe one? I mean, I know this is a very complicated question, so.
no, it's this is what I do for work, so I'm happy to share. I think that many people are not aware of their energy before going into the room. Sometimes while the girls are waiting for their turn, they're in this really nervous mindset. But in reality, they should take that time, those 10 minutes or 15 or whatever time they have, to look at themselves and really fall in love with themselves. Because when you love yourself and you step into that room, they cannot help but feel that energy. Do not try to lie to the judges and portray something you aren't. Just be unique. Worry about your tone of voice. Eye contact is so important, and just smiling and nodding. Smiling and nodding is the biggest trick, because when you smile and nod at people, naturally, psychologically, they will smile and nod at you also.
Well, yeah, I agree. Eye contact is so important. There's so much you can tell by just communicating with your eyes that you can't say with your that you can't say it that sometimes talking is not um easily to voice out. Maybe
Yeah.
you could stumble over your actual words. So yeah, I just shot a COVID-19 wellness video, and
Really?
one of the things that I was expressing to them is like, make sure that your eyes are very bright and open, and make sure you use hand, because we can't see your mouth, so it's all about your, all we can see is your eyes. So
True.
you know, um, does if it's all about like expressing that from the face, then you know, is wardrobe not as really important? Like, you know, do you think they could easily get away with like, just a normal outfit? Do you think that the judges really care if you have a $200 suit on, or mini dress or whatever, or or that plays a little bit of role because it goes with confidence, or if you believe in yourself, it doesn't matter what you're wearing.
I think there has to be a level of presentation on the physical aspect you have to put effort into. However, I do think that even if you don't get the exact outfit that they like, and even if you stumble your words just a little bit, but your energy is there, I think you could sell anything. I really do believe that. I've seen it happen with me. Sometimes I haven't been able to answer certain questions, and I've laughed and I said, I'm really nervous. This means so much to me, and I've been preparing, but that question is just so good that it's hard for me to answer. And I'm honest about it. And I want that pageant.
Oh, of course. So I guess, to answer the question, because I'm really about details. So you would agree that the the outfit or dress is important.
It is.
Okay.
It is.
So do you think that you could have it all mentally and expressing it, and if your outfit is not on point, you could kill it? Like you could make a bad impression?
Yes, definitely. Definitely. I think not a bad impression, but you can make the impression that this year might not be your year. I've seen girls come in while I've been judging, and they are just so amazing, and they can express themselves, and they come in outfits that look like they're going to the club, and you say, well, everything's on point, and that but can make the difference.
Well, I would agree with you. There's a difference between having a club outfit, but do you think what if they were poor and they had a dress that was appropriate, but maybe it was a little ragged, like it wasn't like brand new. Do you think that that would kill them too?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that as long as you look put together, even if it's not, you know, um, Michael Kors dress, and you have one from a generic department store, but it looks put together and your sense of fashion is there, I don't think that the price would matter. I don't think so. It would have to be something very, very extreme.
I I would hope so. I mean, I I would hope that when I judge, I do look at that, but I really don't. I mean, I it's hard because sometimes what the opportunities that a pageant could bring to someone that may be living day to day could be huge, and you never
Yeah.
know where those opportunities and also where those financial things are. So this might be their most financial uh, excess they've spent the entire year. Um, so you think that there's still opportunities, but they've got to really crush it on the other side then.
Yeah, yeah, there's opportunities for everyone, really. Like I said, as long as you're conscious of the outfit that you're putting together, it can really be anything. For instance, if you can find a black dress or a white dress anywhere, just be aware that it might be a little too short, and then just play with the other aspects of it. Be conscious of the way that it looks on you, but the price range does not necessarily matter. Because I rather have a girl that is dressed down but kills it in the speaking aspect of it than a girl that's dressed to the nines and cannot answer a single question.
I mean, I feel that way. I mean, I think, I mean, I if I was a judge, I'm picking the person that can go to any local senator or local congressman, be able to communicate well, or go talk to the president. And I really don't care if she
Yes.
is not capable of buying a new dress, because when you become a title holder, you usually get a lot of free stuff. So, a
Yes.
lot of that is mitigated by sponsors. So, um,
Definitely. I could totally agree with
yeah,
that.
and you have lots of experience like that. Um, so you have this whole year representing your home country. Um, what was the next pageant like? So you were saying that you were kind of finding your way. So at the end of that year, are you hooked at this point, and you want to do another pageant, or did you take a break?
No, I jumped right into the next one. Like I said, I was pursuing the year that comes with winning.
Yeah,
I
of
wasn't
course.
necessarily pursuing the adrenaline yet of competing. Now I love everything from beginning to end. Of course, I don't like my farewell so much, but I don't think any pageant girl likes that.
Well,
But yeah.
you would love my idea. If I ever had a pageant, like if I ran the actual whole system, I think I have a really
Oh,
cool concept. Would
really?
you like to hear it?
I would love to hear it.
So, um, I think it would be cool that if the girl would want to hold the title,
Hmm.
that she would get the opportunity to compete with the final three. So that means that she would have to do the final
Oh,
walk, she'd have to do the final fitness or bikini competition, and then the final interview. So if she wanted to keep her title, she'd have to compete for it. But like she had already won it, so she'd have to just compete with the top three. And I thought that
wow.
I would think that'd be cool, because that would put like a really dispense on it, because that means that you could like you and then maybe you have a turn limit, like you could only do it one time, you could only return, so you can only hold the title for 2 years. But I thought
Yeah.
I just think that, like, especially when you have a really great pageant title, like if you have someone who's a really great title holder, it's always a shame because you tend to really find your stride. I work with a lot of title holders, and they seem to get their stride at that like that 9 month mark, you know? And it would be so cool to have another year to see them achieve their goals.
Yeah, yeah. And I think that during the time that you're not competing, or sometimes the more girls compete, the more confident they get in a good way. And sometimes it can work against you, because the girl that holds the title might go in and say, "Oh, well, I already have this, so I'm already a winner," you know? And
Yeah.
then you might have somebody that's really great that kind of puts you in your place and brings you off your high horse.
You know, I always, you know, people that are so great, I always I feel horrible that they don't ever get the opportunity to be like, well, you have to beat me for my title. It's I guess
Yeah.
I'm very competitive, so to me, it's like in most sports, you get to defend your title, or compete
Yes.
for it. So this is one of these weird um, competitions where you have to actually just lay down and give it up. And I always thought that is if you want to compete for it, you should have the right. And I just think it would be cool, but.
I think it would be different, and I think
Hmm.
that you would have a lot of contestants wanting to do that.
Yeah,
A lot of
exactly.
girls. A
And
lot of girls.
and it would be
Hmm.
something so different because there's no other system that offers that and does that. And I think it would be such a game changer.
Yeah, and it ups the stakes. I mean, we compete because we like that adrenaline, and sometimes you see girls taking long breaks because they're tired of that same
Exactly.
routine. However, I think that would you should do that. I'll compete.
Oh, okay. We just got to come up. There's every name for pageants now. You have Galaxy, Earth. So
Yes.
we got to come up with like a really unique. I mean, there's leaving. Universe. I got to think of something that has never come up with.
And catchy.
I know. I'm sure there is. I'm sure there's like even a glitter pageant.
Something also that fits in the sash. Sometimes you have these
Yeah.
pageants that have 5 names.
Well, I'm big about also if we're gonna have a pageant, we should have the we should use the English language properly. Like they're doing this of for like, and that's not really appropriate. Like it's it's spelled right, but it sounds wrong. I don't like that either. Like if we're gonna have it, like it needs to sound. You know what I mean, right?
Yeah, like they do the most perfectest woman of the world.
Yeah, and I agree with you. If we're gonna have the sash, the title can't be longer than the girl's waist. So if she's
Yeah,
gonna have a zero waist, it can't be that long of a name. So
yeah. We're coming up with great ideas here.
yeah, exactly. Hey, it just gives someone else more reasons to listen to our show.
And
Um,
there you go. If they wanna contribute to ideas, that'd be great.
yeah. Hey, you just email me at paul@mavpp.com. I'll take a donation anytime. So. um, so you come off your first title. What was the next competition that you actually competed for?
So I've competed, and I'm not sure which one came first. I think that I did something in Orlando called Miss Mundo Latina, and it was basically kind of a small Miss Universe for Latina women.
Okay.
And yeah, but they took girls from different parts of the US. So you had girls coming from all over the US to compete. And there I made top 10 and I won Miss Top Model Florida.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and then I competed for the USA system.
Now, going before you jump ahead, is that the system that has the purple sash or yeah, purple sash, right? Because
Well, at the time, it was black.
it was
It was black and
black.
white.
But is it now purple?
You know what? I don't know. I think that they sold the pageant and somebody else revamped the whole thing.
Yeah, because I think my friend is was a director for it in Maryland, but they I think they
Oh,
just call it and I'm maybe it's that's another, but there's one called the Miss Latino pageant.
Huh. I know that their Galaxy does one called Belleza Latina, I
Yes,
think, too.
that's a
Hmm.
totally different one. Because
Yeah.
I've had the privilege of working with one of the title holders almost 7 years ago. So, and that's a cool system because if you win that title, then they give you entry into Miss Galaxy the following year, which is so awesome.
I've been wanting to do that one for a while.
I would encourage you to do so. Now when it comes to pageants, how do you pick pageants? Do you pick it because it's of the sash or the organization, or are you a crown person? Because if you're a crown person, you can't get a better crown than the Miss Latin, the Miss, uh, the one that's associated with Galaxy, because those two crowns are just like off the charts.
well, let me tell you, yes, the crown plays a very important role. I love crowns. I think that I like comfy crowns too, by the way.
Oh well, you definitely don't want that one because trust me, it's heavy and it will dig into your head. So you definitely need crown booties. I don't know if you ever,
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever gotten those before.
No, are those the cushions that you put under?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
I've heard of them.
my one friend that I worked with in Chicago when I was coming back from California, um, I stopped and I did a photo shoot in her house. We like built a studio in her house for the photo shoot, and she was showing me that her crown, because she would be there are people that I know, and I don't know what your thought is, but there are people that like to wear their crown everywhere, and there are people that like to wear their sash everywhere, and they don't wear their crown. Well, she was expressing to me that she loves her crown so much, and she had a divot in the top of her head where the crown was pushing
Oh no.
because it was so heavy. So
Ouch.
be
You get crown hair.
yeah, well, also it's leaving a permanent mark in your forehead, so be be careful.
They're battle scars.
I guess so. You know.
Yeah, no, I pick them. I like the crowds. I also pick it by word of mouth since I surround myself with a lot of pageant girls. I asked them, "How was your experience during the year?" Because, I mean, the pageant itself is one thing, but if you win, you have 1 year in this family that you've been adopted into. So that experience has to be great.
Oh yeah, but you also I hope you also try and build a friendship, because you're also when you win that state or that national title, you hold that title.
Hmm.
You're a forever national title holder or state title holder. So that's
Yes.
that's is that something that you also want to is that something that also can intrigues you, is that you have a legacy that you're always going to be included in the name of other people that have gone before you and will go for you afterwards?
Yes, definitely. I'm friends with most of my past directors that I keep in touch with. Sometimes you move on from pageants, but there's some that I've had a really good experience with. And even now, they ask me to come back to the pageant and either be a judge or even train the girls. They're like, hey, come back and teach the girls what you know. And I think that that's very important that we're building, building together.
No, it's really important. I just wanted to take 1 second from this great interview and talk about our sponsor of the week, Mid Atlantic Video and Photography Productions. No matter if you're planning a wedding, a special event, or you just need an amazing headshot, they are the team to get the job done. You can reach out to them at 443 422 3830. Again, that's 443 422 3830. Or you can just go right to their website at mavpp.com. Now let's get right back to the show and listen to this great interview. So
Okay.
you were mentioning that you transitioned from very smaller pageants into like what I would say the big leagues. And in no way I hope that doesn't insult anyone out there, but a lot of people take it like really seriously when you compete for America or USA. So were you scared or like excited to go to the next level, or did you not even feel that way? Did you feel that it was just another pageant? It just had that name recognition behind it.
Well, I think anybody that knows about pageantry would want to try the USA system at least once. There's a they have built their name, and that was part of it. Another thing is that I thought I was ready. I thought that there's certain things that couldn't fulfill my pageant needs anymore, and I just wanted to go bigger and bigger and bigger. And I'm glad that I did. I'm glad that I took the steps. Of course, you're always scared. You're always scared because when you go into a pageant, you have newbies, but you also have girls that have done that pageant 5 times maybe.
Do you
And you bump into those girls, and they're intimidating.
yeah, so um going into it with um a small amount of pageant, but having success with a national title, representing your home country, did you feel going into it like confident that you should be able to do well, even though there may be people that are focusing on this pageant and they continue not to win? So do you think that going into it, did you think that you still had a lot to learn, that they could help you achieve your goals along the way?
Yeah, when I first took that leap, I did think that honestly, I thought to myself, I don't have a shot at it. Okay, because the girls were stunning. Like I said, they had been preparing. And the first year I went into it very lightly, just live the experience, have fun, enjoy where you're at. Because when you go to the USA system, I'm not sure if they do it now, but they would put us for a whole week in a hotel, so we would get to bond with the girls. And I was looking forward to those moments, the moments to meet these girls from all over Florida, and see what happens behind the scenes, when you're creating this big production. I was starstruck by it.
Well, yeah, I would imagine competing in such a large state. I can't. I guess I can only compare that to what, like California or Texas, where you have so many smaller communities coming together, and then it's pretty awesome that they gave you a week. I know Maryland only has a weekend, but we have such a smaller demographic of contestants. We only have roughly 50, so what did you have, like 100 or more competing for Florida?
The last time I know we had 70 something girls
Okay,
competing.
so
So yeah,
that's a lot.
that is a lot.
So, like, what was your mindset? How did you go into that competition and really um, make yourself stand out? Because I'm assuming you had a lot of fellow Latino sisters there, as well as every other ethnicity. I mean, Florida is known for being very, very diverse. So, was it very competitive, and what were you doing to really stand out?
Well, first off, when you have Florida, I believe, and I think California was the other one that used to do prelims for Miss USA. Other ones you just had to go straight into the pageant at large and just compete.
Hmm.
But here we had directors. So maybe one director would own several local pageants. So when you won your title for your city, you got to meet all the other girls from the same director that won their titles. So you started creating your friendships from there. Then you would go to orientation already with kind of your little crew, your group, and you were each other's support. And you were like a little family. I remember that there were moments where I lost the lash, and I would just pick up my phone and call the other room and say, "Hey, can I please borrow your lashes?" And it was that sisterhood. And I made a lot of friends even from girls that were in different cities that I did not know before. But there's some girls that take it very serious and are very competitive.
Well, I assume that you take it very seriously too. I mean, you now have a business where you're helping people prepare. So that I mean, I'm going to stand up for you and say that you take it as serious as. I mean, maybe you don't want to be that bold and be like that, but like you're taking it as seriously as any other person is.
Yes, no, I do take it serious. I take it serious when I prepare. Um, Going into the pageant, I prepare as much as I can. I work on me and on this product because at the end of the day, models and pageant girls are a product, and you have to take care of that product. You have to physically, emotionally, mentally, you have to prepare. But once I take that step out onto the stage, it's no longer, um, you know, I have to beat everybody. It's more of a here I am. This is what I've been working for. I believe in me enough that I know that I am the person you want to pick for this crown. I know that I'm going to represent it well. And I believe it so much that my only goal is for the judges to believe the same thing that I do at that point.
Yeah, of course.
And everything fades out. The other girls don't matter at that point. It's just me and the judges.
No, of course. So, how many years did you compete for USA?
I competed twice. I won something called Miss Art Deco, which is Miami Beach, essentially, and South Florida. I won South Florida.
So, a lot of USA um, don't do local titles. So, that's really awesome that your state has local titles. So, that's pretty
Yes.
awesome. So, I mean, I always find it. I come from a very small state where it's everything is just assigned, and then there's only the state pageant. So it's still cool that you still have a local title and you get to represent that for the entire year, and you get to represent the USA system. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is, and it's kind of training, once you win your city and you see the taste of competition. If it's the first time, let's say that you've never done any other pageant and you go into competing for your city, you already got a taste of that and you see how it is in a smaller scale. So I think that it's only natural that your next step would be to go to the state pageants. I stand behind preliminaries so much because of that. I think it prepares the girl. I think it gives them a chance to adapt to their new lifestyle because it is a lifestyle.
I think locals are extremely important for people that may not be extremely wealthy too, because
Yes.
I think that's a perfect opportunity for a small business to sponsor a young lady that may not have the money. So I absolutely agree with you. And I
That is
think,
a great point. Very
and,
great point.
I think that the smaller states that just go straight to states really are missing the boat on giving an opportunity to, like, you could even, in my opinion, you could even say that you can't make so much money. You could base it on how much money your family makes and only allow people that are at certain dollar amounts so that you are
Hmm.
really helping someone that may not be able to do well at the state level because of finances. So I agree with you completely.
Yeah, I definitely think more states should do that.
Mm-hmm.
I love the fact that Florida was one of the states that would do that, and I like the old pageantries a lot. I think that we've lost a little bit of that. Even in Miss USA or Miss Universe, the ratings, people are not into it. They don't see the value of it anymore, and that's one of my main goals now when I teach girls. It's letting them know that this is really helpful for you for your career. Let me tell you, you put a girl that does pageantry in an interview for any job against a girl that doesn't, and the girl that does pageants will do a way better interview because we are used to that.
Oh, I mean, as a photographer, and I had mentioned to you in our private conversation that uh, this podcast is not focused on pageantry in any way, but I just happen to have more pageant contestants being more willing to talk about their experiences and give advice than perhaps my cheerleaders, because they're just not in front of the mic or the camera as much, and it's a shame But you're absolutely right. Um, Someone that is trained in pageantry is much better off in the working world than someone isn't.
Yeah, and even socially, the confidence that is built, and the way that these girls walk into a room, it's like they're constantly competing, in
I
in real life.
I don't disagree there. I mean, I wouldn't turn down marrying a pageant girl. So confidence is, I mean, I'm just be blunt about that. Confidence is a very important thing to my in my book too. So,
You probably will. I mean, you're surrounded by a lot of beautiful women.
well, the way the rule goes too in life is that you don't go to the bathroom. I'll say it the PC way. You don't go to the bathroom where you make money. So, uh,
Yeah. I see what
yeah,
you're saying.
exactly. So you did 2 years of that. What was your next Now, in the course of this, are you modeling too? How did you get into modeling?
So my director for my first pageant, he always jokes around that he discovered me. And he's a local designer, but he's helped me out a lot. And I've grown. I've done South Florida Fashion Week. I've done many swimsuit shows. I've done TV. I've done campaigns. So I mean, I think it goes hand in hand. I've gotten the opportunities for modeling from pageantry because I've been known through it.
Gotcha.
I don't think I would have the same experience in modeling if I wasn't doing pageantry.
Do you think you would have never can done any modeling if it wasn't for pageantry? Is pageantry because of you have you because of pageantry you have modeling and not vice versa?
Yeah, I believe so. Like I said, I wasn't into the whole lifestyle. I just thought that it was vain. So I don't think I would have ever on my own said, "Hey, I'm going to go cast for, swim week." I
Gotcha.
don't think I would have ever done that. Especially because runway and that moment in a model's life, those seconds that you're on the runway, that's all they are, seconds. But like I said, when you win a pageant, you have a full year. So I think that I would have been a little bit not disappointed, but I think I would have been left wanting more out of that experience on its own.
And do you believe that the confidence that you have right now is directly because of the pageantry, or do you think that you would have gotten to this point confident wise if even if you didn't do pageantry and modeling?
That's a really hard question because I don't know if I would have ever seen myself as more than what my bullies at the time in school, when I was younger, would say I was. I mean, listen, in elementary, one time a kid told me that I shouldn't wear shorts because my legs were too skinny. And I did not wear shorts until I was in high school. I was so set on what they had said to me in elementary school. And that shaped me. So I don't think I would have ever broken out of my self-image negative self-image cage if it wasn't for pageantry.
It's amazing. The more and more I talk to people and they tell me their life experiences, that how just kids can be just so brutally. They say whatever is on top of their mind. They have no idea.
Yeah.
They have no concept that it truly is damaging and that words really do play such a vital role, and that you know that you'll not buy an outfit because of a comment that is like made flippantly and probably never thought of again by that person, but it's made such an indelible impression onto your psyche, which is just incredibly unbelievable. But like, because that person, you know, they probably said it because they were hitting on you, because most guys say really nasty things to girls when they are attracted to them, which is ridiculous.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, exactly.
No, but you're absolutely right. And the funny thing is that I forgot who I heard this from, but they were saying how people can tell you 100 times a day how pretty you look, but have someone tell you that something doesn't look good on you, and the whole day you'll be thinking about that one comment opposed to the 100 other positive ones.
Yeah, but I think
It's because it's crazy how our minds work.
that's also how women also strategize, because from a male's perspective, um, there are certain times where men blow that stuff off. So like I think that women do like I know for a fact that women can recall um, a conflict years from, and bring it up. The best representation is this YouTube show that I watch, and it has a Barbie doll. They use a real Barbie doll, and they use a Ken doll, and they literally go into the Barbie doll's head, and she has everything properly organized and dated with the actual office cabinets, and she pulls the cabinet drawer out, and she fuffles through all the vanilla folders, and she pulls out that one argument, and then she pulls it out, and then she reads it right to her boyfriend. And I'm like, that is so like that is exactly what I've seen in my entire life. You can see the eyes roll back in their head and be like, "Well, do you remember?" Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, that's the perfect recommend. I mean, because guys don't think that way, and like they the way they described it in the video is that the guy, you go into the guy's head, and like there's dust flying around, and like we're like staring at walls and trying to like throw darts at other people's hands, and like trying to blow shit up, and like the girls is all organized and properly, and ours has got like cobwebs everywhere. So
That's funny. No, I mean it's true. I can vouch for that. We have selective memory sometimes.
well, I don't think it's selective. I think it's actually really detailed, but like you can reference things that are just like out of the blue. It's so
But do you think we do that on purpose? Do you think we
I think for a lot of I think like when it came to like maybe strategizing when it comes to like war or something, like it, like I think a woman would probably be a great like strategize for like a war,
Oh
because she could be like, well, you remember in this war we could do this and blah blah, blah. Because guys don't think
yeah.
that way. Guys are very like analytical, like we're just gonna like plow through this way and go and I think that has to be what it was, because like that trait, you know is really great to like you like if you can reference that, you shut down the argument, like you win the argument, because like as for a guy, most guys can't have a comeback because you're just going to look like horrible, so you win that argument,
Definitely. No,
right?
I think sometimes we do I know that I've done it and I'm guilty of this where let's say that you ignore a problem that I came home with from work and I said, oh, this happened. And if you don't pay attention to me, I'm like, oh, okay. So next time when you come with me to me with the problem, I might be a little bit dry and say,
Hmm.
well, you didn't listen to me, so
I know
take taste of
exactly.
your own medicine.
Exactly. Hey,
No, that's so
it's
funny.
just it's that very interesting way of how the two species work. So, I mean, that's why the book is it Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, or do I have it backwards? That is
No,
so
you're
fat.
right. You're right. Women are from Venus, yes,
Yeah.
and men are from Mars.
So, I think that's there are some valid points in that book. So,
So let me ask you something because now that we're in this topic,
sure.
I think it's funny that you said that you had judged pageants before, and as a judge, I've been, sometimes in pageantry they pick the sponsors to be a judge, and then sometimes they pick people that know about pageantry. And I've seen the what they look for in the girls is completely different, men and women. The way that they think and they perceive a girl on stage can be night and day.
Well,
What do you look for?
that's really. I mean, I've had the opportunity as a photographer to work with the girls like in the field and like dealing with personal appearances. So I as sad as it is, I do have seen those people that are like try to act like they are the most innocent person on stage, and then you actually see that they're just really horrible people. And
Yeah.
it's hard to really determine in that short time frame, um, if that person, because in all sincerity, my opinion is like you really, because you're, I love my state. I love my state. And I don't want, personally, I don't want someone representing my state that, one, is a horrible person. Two, I also don't want someone who's not going to, if they lose and they don't win their national title, they're just going to put their title in their bag and never go to events after, you know.
Oh yeah.
And that's a horrible thing, because you're representing our state for 12 consecutive months. And I think it's important that you are just like a politician. You're out there really representing. And I understand that there's a mourning, mourning of loss that you go through. So I try to, when I'm looking at that person, you only get so many minutes, but I'm trying to figure out, is this person really going, I do ask them, like, are you committed for all 12 months? It's usually like kind of question I ask, like, you know, do you, how much do you know about this state? Because I don't want someone to represent my state and then they don't know anything about it. I always find it really weird when I have my acting friends and they want to be famous actors, but they don't know anything about the camera that's shooting the video, or they don't know anything about the lights, or they don't know what a Blu-ray is or like a DVD is. And I'm like, if you don't know that, like, your agent's gonna take you for as a chump, or you're not gonna know what you're gonna need to ask for, because that's how you make money. Like, so those are
Exactly.
like those key things that, like, I try to draw in, but it's hard as a judge. You only get sometimes less than 5 minutes.
Do
So,
you find it that you can see when a girl is telling you what you want to hear?
oh yeah, you can totally, especially like they'll start flirting with you and they'll start rolling their hair or flirting their eyelashes. So, yeah. I hope that as I get older, I am 37, and I know I'm a chubby guy, so I know when they flirt with me, it's not real flirting. It's like just
Oh,
a.
come on.
So, I so I'm hoping as I get older, we'll get some real more feedback, and like they won't play those, they won't try that. But yeah, um, it happens sometimes. So, um, but to be honest, like when I'm not a judge and I'm looking at the field, it's really, especially when it comes to USA, you kind of know who's the top 10 is going to be, because it is still a competition. Like I mean, maybe some systems are not that way, but if you don't put any effort in your photo and you don't put any effort in your outfit, like we're talking about, your outfit for interview still makes, like you're really fighting the idea that a bad outfit could hold you down. So if you don't put any effort and you can't find enough money to buy an outfit, then they're not going to be competitive from what I've seen. So um I'm really usually good at picking the top 10, just pulling out a book. um so and maybe I'm just being cocky that way, but like I really do see it as a competition. So now
Yeah.
I don't know what your feeling is when it comes to the teen competitions, but usually teens are really like a complete toss up, because um, some people could come in with a random photo and they literally use an iPhone and they've never competed before and they win the title. I mean, I've seen that so many times. But when it comes to the Ms. Specific category, I think you can tell who's going to be there. You can also look at the past year and judge who's returning too, because the more that person is in the top 3, top 4, and they keep on returning, there's a better chance, as the people that she couldn't get over, they get their title. And not to say this, but like it's just a fact. When all of the
Hmm.
competition already won the title, you're the only one left over, so they just give it to you. You know,
Yeah.
if, I don't know how to say, but like that's why I like the idea of the person who holds the title. If she wants to compete for it, like if the previous girls still aren't as better than her, why should you have to give up your title? You
No,
know.
it's true. Yeah, I think that there's a lot of pageant politics happening sometimes,
Oh yeah, absolutely, yeah.
and people don't understand that. People that are watching it just as spectators, just watching this universe. Some people say, well, why did that girl wasn't as pretty as so and so, and then I can look at it and be like, well, this and that is happening, blah 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 blah, and they say, really, do you think so? And I say, yeah, pageant is politics, but with better looking people.
Hey, Jennifer, you're just speaking the truth. Some people say it behind people's back. So
Yeah, I mean, it is what it, and I don't like pageants like that, to be honest. I think that the girl that worked harder, the girl that gave it her all, that left everything on that stage, the girl that really is in love with the message and what they represent, that girl should win. Doesn't matter if it's her first time competing, or it doesn't matter if it's her third time competing. If you are showing up for the event, if you are giving it your all and you're taking it serious and you came to compete, then I think that you deserve it.
oh, absolutely.
And I see that happen where a girl maybe was a first runner up and she came back to the pageant, and there's a girl that's better than her, but she's the last year's runner up, so they give it to her.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. It's a tough, and sorry, you're gonna hear my dog barking in the background.
It's okay. I just wanted to take one extra second and talk about our sponsor of the week, Mid Atlantic Video and Photography Production. No matter if you're planning a wedding and you need a wedding videographer, you're doing a music video, or you're doing a commercial, they are the team to get the job done. You can reach out to them at 443 422 3830. Again, that's 443 422 3830. Or you can go right to their website at mavpp.com. Now let's get right back to this great interview. So I would be completely ignorant if I didn't mention the fact that you're now training people both to be a model now and also in the pageant industry. So why don't you tell our lovely guests, lovely listeners, all about that?
Well, I work for an academy that trains girls in show business, and boys too, of course. Um, we work with local TV shows, and if they have maybe a show that they need extras for, sometimes we take our girls. We work with several agencies as well, but we train the girls. And I work every Saturday. I have maybe 2 hour slots with each group, and I do master classes, I do boot camps. I'm doing, of course, Zoom classes now online because of coronavirus. But I teach them everything that I know, and I try to work from the inside out. I think it's very important, especially because things are changing in the industry so much, and we have lost that. Like I was saying, we have lost that energy of training ourselves mentally and emotionally, and we just think that runway is everything, or just the outfit is everything. So I really try to mold them.
Well, I agree with you because if they don't love themselves, that's going to be easily seen in the judges. They don't, if they don't feel comfortable, that's going to come off really easily. So,
Yeah, yeah, I have teenagers, I have adults, and my youngest one is actually 2 years old. I have a
so,
2 year old student.
so how does that work? What are you helping? Because sometimes 2 year olds really don't comprehend. Like, so are you doing more like physical things with her when it comes to like maybe just her pose or something?
Yeah, I work on her posing. Her mom is usually in the classes with us because as a 2 year old, like you said, they lose attention very easily. They get tired very easily. Now, surprisingly, this 2 year old is very much in love with the industry. She wasn't the original target for the classes, it was her brother, but she would go and watch him and she just started picking it up. So her parents were just like, hey, you take control of this situation. And she's amazing. She takes cues very well. She's starting to speak a lot more now. So it's every day is different with her. Some days are great and some days are not so great.
No, maybe a future Miss Florida there, right?
There you go. Or Miss Universe, you never know.
Right, exactly. Why set the bar so low, right?
There you go. Yeah. That's
So,
what I hope for all my students,
oh
really,
yeah,
that
absolutely.
they can be the best. I tell them, hey, listen, because when they grow up watching you or they start getting to know you, my teenage students, they say things like, oh, I want to be like you. And I always tell them, no, 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 I want you to be better than me. Better than me, just because now you have the experience, my tips, plus the experiences that you're going to live, so you can only be better at that point.
Well, I mean, I always find that as someone who's a great coach only wants them to do better. So that just shows how great you are because you want them to do better than you are. So
Oh, thank
I
you,
mean
that's
that's
very
I
sweet.
mean that most parents that are really great parents have that same mindset too. You know, you don't want them to just puddle along at the same opportunities that you have. You want them to go way above you. You know.
Yeah, definitely. And like I was saying, when we started talking, I said that there's certain opportunities that some girls can have that others don't. And when I started, like I mentioned, I had no guidance at all. And if somebody was teaching me the things that I teach my students today, I think my experiences would have been a lot smoother.
Well, do you think that what you're instilling in your students is game changing from just a standpoint where they're going to be able to find a job and be successful, or do you think that that's not the end goal? The end goal is be successful in the entertainment industry.
No, I think that it would help them be successful anywhere. I teach them, there's days that I tell them, hey, today we're not going to do any walking. And then they get bummed out at first, because they all want to walk and put on their heels. But sometimes I say, hey, let's just watch these girls give interviews, supermodels. Let's watch them on, any talk show and see their body language, see how they behave, and see what they're doing on the outside. You have models like Carly Kloss, that she's considered one of the smartest models in the industry, and it's just amazing that they can see that you can be pretty, you can live out your Barbie dreams, dress up, play dress up, great, but also take something else with you that's going to make you an entrepreneur someday, you know?
Well, I think that that's the most important thing is that if you're able to give them skills that they may not have and they do better, that's the most important thing, right?
Yeah, and it's attractive. I think that it's very attractive to not only romantically, but even as friendships or in your circle. The more you work on yourself, the more you're going to attract quality people around you. And I think we all want to have that.
Well, I believe in that. I think that you your natural aura attracts you to people that are like-minded and that you naturally gravitate to people that you find that are like-minded. So I think that's just a normal human trait that we try to find people that have the same um, beliefs and um, culture and so on and so on that makes us feel like a family.
Yeah, yeah, and for instance, like with you, you're doing this podcast and you have tons of guests, and I always tell my students and my clients, you have to work on you and give people a reason to want to get to know you. I mean, how hard would I make this podcast for you if I gave you yes and no answers throughout the whole time that we're talking? It would be a
Uh,
nightmare.
I've been through a couple of those.
Oh no, don't. I feel bad.
I'm thankful that the ones that I have, I by the time when the interview got over, that they got the concept that we need to be more um, diversive and more detailed on the answering of the question I asked. So
Yeah.
they got the hint after a while.
Like I told you, I was nervous. I've never done a podcast before. I've always done scripted questions. Like, this is what I'm going to ask you. This is what we're going to talk about. But I like the energy that it's a conversation, and you can really see somebody's personality in that.
Absolutely. I mean, to be honest, the industry that you're in and the amount of information, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I think you should do a podcast. And I mean, I would encourage you to do that. I mean, it does not take that much effort. I put a little bit more time into editing it, but if you wanted to just put out something really real and gritty, and you could just record it and then put it out, you wouldn't have to do any. So I mean, and I think that I think people would find you. I mean, I'm starting to build an audience. I have about 150 consistent people that listen to me, and then I have 35 followers on YouTube. So I'm starting to really build an audience there. So
Well, you're going to have to give me some tips if I ever do.
well, yeah, of course, yeah.
You're going to have to teach me. But no,
You have my
I think
number,
you're
so
gonna have. Yes, I think you're gonna have a lot more. I think that what you're doing is great,
well, thank you.
and I've seen that you have all kinds of people come on here, and I appreciate that. I like the atmosphere, and I like the way that you do things. I think you have a great energy to you.
Oh,
I appreciate you.
well, no, I I don't get that a lot, and I thank you for the compliment. I, I'm very blunt. I use this to advertise my business, and I really am trying to make money. But if I can also help people to get their name out there, and also provide an outlet that they may not have um, by themselves, I'd be happy to do so. So if I can make money and also help you, I think I don't think there's nothing wrong with that. So
Thank you so much. I'm definitely, I told all my students that I was going to be doing a podcast, and they're excited to hear it.
well, um, tell them that the interview went great, and I'm sure that they're gonna just be so thrilled to listen to their teacher. So
Thank you so, so much.
well, thank you, Jennifer, for coming on the show, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me, and I hope to do this again soon.
Oh, of course. Thank you so much, Jennifer, for coming on the show. I am so thankful for the opportunity to interview you. It's always great to interview more and more great people around this world, and it just shows that you don't need to live in Maryland or live in Alaska or Florida or whatever. There are amazing people all around the world, and I thank you for coming on the show. Your background, um, growing up in another country and then coming here and being able to adapt, that's incredible. And then being able to win your first pageant, talk about kudos to that. That's a big thing. And then going on to work in an agency and help people to do the same, that's incredible. I really encourage you guys to reach out to Jennifer and hire her for your beat to be let her coach you, and I think she'd be a real benefit. And I really encourage Jennifer to continue competing, and I hope that she does go on to compete in Galaxy or the Miss Latino Galaxy pageant. So good luck to her, and thank you for being on the show. Don't forget, everyone, we have two shows on this channel. One is the podcast, which you're listening to, which is the Total Focus podcast. But we also have our movie breakdown show called The Movie Breakdown with my co-host, Yvonne Carlos. So I really appreciate you guys digging and listening to our movie breakdown, and I appreciate you giving us really valuable criticism and feedback. Please, I would highly encourage you to consider giving us a thumbs up on YouTube, and I appreciate you giving some feedback and ringing that bell on YouTube. And don't forget, this show is both on YouTube and on iTunes. And as always, please stay tuned.